Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Question that came in while you were away, asking, are there any parts of skills, I don't have the exact wording here, but I know what basically they said, any parts of skills that deals with cognition, but not in the cognition curriculum? And if that sounds like a weird thing, let me clarify why. That they, every time they talk about cognition with their supervisor, the supervisor is saying that that's academic and that insurance funding won't fund anything that's academic. So can you shed a little light on the difference between things that are cognitive and academic and the things that are cognitive and aren't academic, and where they would find them in skills?
Yes, absolutely. So there's an entire section, there's a domain in skills called cognition. And the majority of the stuff, I'm just trying to go through it in my head, but there's hundreds of things in there. I don't think any of it is academic. There's another domain that's called academic. So I would not, if your supervisor is telling you that they can't do portions of cognition, we have an issue here. So you should then escalate that. And you're always welcome to go through Shannon and contact Shannon, and she will let our clinical director, Evelyn Kung, know. And then Evelyn will reach out to your supervisor and walk them through the cognition curriculum and help them understand kind of what's going on there. I'm assuming you're with CARD. And bottom line is, yes, that is correct. Insurance does not allow us to delve into the academic curriculum, but the cognition curriculum has nothing really to do with academic. The entire curriculum was built on the premise of that individuals on the spectrum have a hard time with perspective taking. What that means is that they have a very difficult time separating their own mind from the mind of others, and therefore they only are able to see the world from their own perspective. Now, it sounds like not a big deal, but it's a huge deal because it affects a lot of different functions in life. If you can't see things from another person's perspective, you're going to be intrusive. You're going to be perceived as being self-centered. You will not be able to show a lot of empathy or sympathy. You will not be able to kind of understand why people are interested in other things. You won't be able to understand where their information and beliefs come from. A million things. You won't be able to tell jokes because you'll think they already know what's in your head. It's a million things. So that whole curriculum works on teaching the child or the adult all the things that are affected by having a difficulty in perspective taking. And so these are things like teaching the individual to take someone else's perspective from a sensory perspective. How does the other person see the world? What do they hear? How does that affect their knowledge? Those types of things. And then it goes on to teaching our individual kind of how to take the other person's perspective and apply it to real life situations so that, like, the next time they disagree with someone, it's okay because people can have different beliefs. It's not all black and white. All sorts of challenging behaviors are handled once the person understands someone else's perspective. I mean, if you think about it, Shannon, it's one of those skills that helps us. I mean, the better we are with seeing things from someone else's perspective, the better we are socially.
In fact, I want to reference that because I see a lot of times that parents and caregivers, we're seeing things from one perspective, and we see our kids as whole, and we want help for our children for everything. And then the school district is saying, well, we're going to help you with the things that have to do with school.
Yes.
And somebody else says, well, we're going to help you with the things that your insurance says that we can help you with. And it's all these different perspectives. But what I want to say to caregivers in particular and to folks on the spectrum is that sometimes when we ask somebody a question and we ask it what I call tightly, that, so you say, what can I do about my child behaving this way in school? I find that in this generation of people, we get a tight answer. They'll say, oh, I can't help you with what happens in school sometimes. And I'm taking it to the most exaggerated form that it could be. And they just answer the question that you just asked instead of asking the bigger question of what's the behavior that you're seeing and are you seeing it at home too? And so I want to encourage parents and caregivers always to, ask the question tightly, but then ask it broadly and keep asking until you get to the answer. As Dr. Granpeesheh said, though, if you're a card family and you're having these kinds of issues, talk to me and I'll tell you what words to use so that you get your point across, right? And that you don't get stopped by something because somebody was actually answering your question correctly, but they weren't looking at what the bigger question was maybe that you were asking. Because most of the time, insurance won't fund things that the goal is educational or something that happens in the classroom. And insurance gets really testy with ABA providers. And so ABA providers are very concerned about following the letter of what is funded. But there's a lot of middle ground.
Oh yeah, but it's very tough dealing with payers. I mean, like, thank you for bringing that up. I want the families to know, like, they will actually retract payment for anything that is considered academic. So there's a lot of, that's why the supervisor is being very cautious.
Yeah. But, usually if there's something happening in the classroom, it has like far-reaching effects into other things that ABA, that an insurance company would fund. And sometimes it's just a matter of finding how we word it so that everybody goes, oh, that's what we're doing here and that's okay. And it reverse engineers the other way too. I hear schools all the time saying, oh, well, we're not dealing with that because it's not technically educational. And then we have to go back to IDEA and say to them, no, you're also responsible for this person when they leave school and get them to go, oh, right, no, okay, I see where you're going with that. We can fund that, everybody gets a little narrow. Okay. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.